So we're still dealing with special right triangles. Except today we are looking at 30, 60, 90-degree triangles. Okay, so still special right triangles, but here's our second set of special right triangles. We're going to start by drawing a right triangle. So the same steps from yesterday still apply. So what was step 1? Label the sides. Now we need to know what we're going to label our sides. So across from the 30-degree angle is S. Okay, so across from the 30-degree angle is S. That's going to be our shortest side. Across from the 60-degree angle will be our middle side, and we're going to label that S square root of 3. And across from 90 is our longest side, and that is labeled 2S. So S square root of 3, and 2S. If you need to turn your desk, you can, so you don't have to turn around. Okay, so S radical 3, 2S. What was step 2? Solve for S. And what was step 3? Plug S in. Okay, same steps from yesterday. The only difference is how we are labeling our triangle. Okay. That's a 30, yes. So I don't necessarily have to tell you all 3 angles because we should be able to use our knowledge to determine what this third angle is, right? If all the angles in a triangle add to 180, I know this is 90, this is 30, that has to be 60. So with the 45, 45, 90s, you probably noticed that sometimes there was only one 45 in the triangle because the other one has to be 45. Here, I may only give you 30, you may only get 60, but you should know what the other one is based off the information you have. Okay, it's never going to be 57 degrees. It has to be 30 or 60. Does that make sense? Okay, so here's our triangle. Step 1 is to label. So across from 30 is S. Across from 60, S square root of 3. Across from 90, 2S. And you'll notice that all of those are equations. I make all of them equations so I can solve. So if I look at those 3 side lengths, you're looking for one of 2 things. One, is it S equals a number? Or is there an equation where I can solve for S? There's only one variable. This one here, right? There's only one variable. It's just an S. How do I get S by itself? Divide by 2, which means S equals 7. You don't get why there's 2 what?
2S. Yeah, what is that from?
Across from 90, you label it 2S. So across from the 90-degree angle, we label it 2S. Okay? So if S equals 7, now I can just plug it in. What is Y going to equal? 7, because Y equals S. x equals, I plug in 7 for s, and I have my radical 3. Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, let's try another one. I promise these get easier. They seem kind of crazy at first, but they're not as bad as they look. That's it. Everyone always says this one's easier, but they're exactly the same. And I think it's the 30, 60, 90 seem easier because we do them second, and so it's just another data lake process. But I promise, like, they end up both being the same. Okay, we're going to do it again together. So, my 30-degree angle is here, right? It's not shown. Everyone okay with that? Okay. So across from 30 is S. Across from 60 is S square root of 3. Across from 90, 2S. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is either we have an answer where it's S equals something, or we have to solve for S. Do we know what S equals? S equals 4. It says it right here. It literally says S equals 4. Okay, we're done with step 2. Step 3, plug it in. So if I plug it in for Y, if S equals 4, it's 4 square root of 3. For X, if S equals 4, what does X equal? 8. 2 times 4 is 8. Because this is where you're going to struggle if you're struggling, I think this is going to be the hard part. So we get how to solve and we get how to plug in. What we don't understand, and I'm not saying this is everybody, but what we don't understand is where the labels go. Okay? So you need to reference, think about this as a formula. You need to reference this triangle. So you go to the 30-degree angle in your new picture, and across from 30 degrees, you label it S. So here we went to 30. Across from 30, we label it S. Here we go to 60. Across from 60, we label it S radical 3. And across from 90, we label it 2S. That never changes. So this, you can think of this triangle as your formula. Okay? I'm going to give you 2 to try.
2?
1.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start with 1.
No, I gave him
Okay, I don't want you to freak out, and I just want you to try it. Do them as best you can. Okay, so it's x, y, and 8 radical 2. Get as far as you can, because then we can see really where you're stuck. Okay? All right, so I think we're, for the most part, okay with labeling. So you should have S square root of 3 and 2S. Okay? Step 2 is to solve for S. Now, when I look at all of those side lengths, I don't have S equals a number, but I do see a side where I can solve for S. What side is that? The 8 square root of 2 side, right? Because there's only one variable. Here I have an S and a Y, so I can't solve. Here I have an S and an X, so I can't solve. How do I get S by itself?
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2. Okay? Now, a lot of you said S was 8 square root of 2 over 2. But I can simplify that.
Yes.
You can divide 2 into 8. So really, S equals 4 square root of 2. Some of you did 2 divided by 2. You're not allowed to do that. So if a number's underneath the square root and one is not, you can't combine them. If they're both underneath the square root, then you can. Okay? Now that I know what S is, what's Y? 4 square root of 2. Shh. Okay, hold on. X is going to be 4 square root of 2 times the square root of 3. So X equals 4 square root of 6.
What? What was it?
Okay. Kylie, what's wrong?
Can you just do one? Can you do another one?
Yeah, we're going to do another one. Where are we getting, I need to know where we're getting confused. Okay, so let's start here. Can we label?
Yeah, I can label.
Everyone's confident in the labeling part.
Yes.
Okay. Can we identify which side S equals and or which side we need to solve for S?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, I knew here that I didn't have S equals a number, but I knew I needed to solve that side. Can we identify that at least? Okay. Can we solve for S? Okay. So this right here is an algebra problem. Other than the fact that there's a square root. Okay, you probably didn't see square roots. 8 square root of 2 equals 2S. That is an algebra problem. Okay, you have to get S by itself. Remember, you're doing the inverse operation. So if we're multiplying, we're going to divide. If we're dividing, we're going to multiply. If you add, you subtract. Right? So the operation that's currently being performed is multiplication. Opposite of multiplication is division. Because those then cancel, leaving me with S. And I have to simplify this if I can. I can simplify 8 and 2 because they're not in the square root. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and I still have the square root of 2. This is what S equals.
Okay, what if you're dividing by another number that
Like-
isn't the same as the square root? Or is that not?
Like if it was 8 square root of 3 over 2? Or you divided by 2 like this?
Yeah, so what would you do?
So it would be 4 square root of 3. You cannot do anything with these two numbers because one's underneath the square root and one is not. The only time you can combine a square root is with another square root. So if I had something like the square root of 6 over the square root of 3, this would be the square root of 2. Because they're both in the square root, so I can simplify. If they're not both in the square roots, you kind of treat it like a variable and you just let it be by itself until the end. Okay? So are we okay with the solving part? So that's where we get 4 square root of 2. Once you have this, is the plugging in part okay? Or no? Yeah? Okay, why don't we try another one and see if we can get there. Okay? Okay, so I want you to try from start to finish. Okay, so labeling. Across from 30 is S. Across from 60 is S radical 3. Across from 90 is 2S. We need to solve. Here's where we're solving, which you did. Okay, so I'm dividing by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And you keep your radical 6. So 3 radical 6 is what S is. Okay? Are we okay? All right. We're plugging it in for x. That one's straightforward. X equals 3 square root of 6. Still okay? Y. Okay, so y equals s is 3 radical 6 times radical 3. So you all gave me 3 square root of 18. That's 95% correct. Okay, so how do we make it 100% correct? You have to simplify the radical, which we've been doing all semester. What does 18 simplify to? 9 and 2, and then 3 and 3. Okay, so you have a pair of 3s. So I have this 3 still on the outside. I have a pair of 3s that I'm taking out with a 2 left over. So for 100% correct, you would have 9 square root of 2. If you give me, I'm telling you now, if you give me 3 square root of 18, you're going to get most of your points. But as always, you need to simplify. So if you can simplify a radical, if you can simplify a fraction, you need to do so. We've been practicing that all semester. Okay? All right. So, yes.